When it comes to spirituality, does it seem to seclude you and segregate you from the rest of the world, or does it bring it all together?
In my experience, I've experienced both, being ostracized and secluding myself voluntarily, and also reaping the benefits of this type of spiritual practice in the worldly sense. In the beginning, when I had done a lot of my breath work and a lot of my meditations, I used to have a lot of profound experiences, a lot of mystical experiences. And I think what happens is when you don't have a framework or some type of a reference point to make sense of these experiences, then it's easy to kind of get stuck in your own head and in your own experiences and start to seclude yourself, because you can't really put them in the proper framework and you really can't make sense of them. And for me, the result of that was I kind of shut down and I didn't express a lot of those experiences to people. So I noticed I didn't necessarily seclude myself. I can't say that, because that never happened, but I definitely became a little bit more quiet and reserved about my experiences, where I just didn't share anything for many, many years. And you definitely kind of feel like you create your own little bubble. But as Mahesh was saying earlier, spirituality proper, meditation proper, doing breath work regularly, it really only enhances every aspect of your life, because from being physically, feeling better physically, having more energy physically, how could you not apply that to just having a better life? You think clearer, so you make better decisions. And because you make better decisions, you just have a more qualitative life, and that literally can expand from everything to business, to creation, to the types of people you surround in your life, to emotionally feeling better, just to making better decisions, where you live, what type of occupation, or how you make your money. So really, there is nothing but qualitative benefits, both to breath work and to meditation, when it comes to applying it to the real world. And again, when you do know how to tap into being able to concentrate for long periods of time, then of course that could be immediately applied to your life on every single level, from something as mundane as burdensome as paying bills to again, applying that towards your own creative endeavors and projects, whatever that might be, or even problem resolutions. When you have the ability to concentrate powerfully, then this really kind of dovetails into every aspect of your life. And then of course meditation proper, when your intuition starts becoming extraordinarily heightened as a result of being extraordinarily good at meditation, then that has absolutely invaluable benefits to your life, because you don't have to go through the pain of making a lot of mistakes that your intuition could otherwise pick up immediately. So in short, just to sum up what you were saying, there really are innumerable benefits to both breathwork and meditation.
I'd like to mention one very interesting fact here. When we talk about Gautama Buddha, so in Buddhism, many people say Buddha, in pursuit of his spiritual enlightenment, he happened to leave the wife and the newborn baby, and he left the whole, the paradise, and went to jungle. Okay, that's the story we all know actually. And then he went on, searching for the truth, for the enlightenment for the next 6 years. But now the real interesting thing is, after he got enlightened, after 6 years, what did he do? The first thing he did, this is what many of us, we don't know, like, the first thing he did was coming back, and he joined with his wife and the son. Actually, even his son Rahula takes you start following the Buddha's principle, the spiritual techniques after that. So spirituality actually doesn't take you away from the family life. I've seen in my life, the more I start practicing the meditation, the more I start cleansing myself, I only become more closer to my people, to even the nature, to the animals, to the whole thing. You feel so one with everything around you, because you start sensing the energy within you. At the same time, like I've guided at least a few thousand people in the last decade, 10 years, you can say that. I've seen the transformation in their life too. Like even there are examples like where the person comes, walks into my life, my office, and he says, "No, I'm planning for a divorce, and he came for a counseling." And then when I started talking to him, and then after that, then he agrees for the breathwork session. I say, instead of counseling, the breathwork will help you. And then after the breathwork, and he goes back and compromise, and then he start living with his wife, and then he convinces his wife and brings her to the breathwork, and then after that they continue to meditate together, and they may go back and have another baby. So it's like a lot of examples are there actually, so if you really do in a proper way, the way it has been taught, in the scripture, if you properly meditate, but many times I've seen people, okay, they're just trying to force things. Like one of the big thing I've seen, it happens like people are trying to force Kundalini awakening, through some drugs or through some weird practices. No, you don't need to force anything. When you do it really properly, like the way you do your asanas properly, do the breathing properly, then get on to the Kriya Yoga or a Breathwork, then meditate sincerely, and then you see beautifully when you're ready, the Kundalini awakening, it happens. And when it happens, it doesn't take you away from life, rather it connects back to the life, and makes you respect everything around you. And you become a wonderful human being, and really helps in everything. And again, like as Joe said, people many times ask me, okay, is it like, to grow spiritually, I need to give up everything? No, you don't need to give up anything. You don't need to give up anything, but it's all about, being sincere to the path, and then you can live your purpose. You can have a best of the purpose. You can fulfill your purpose in your life. At the same time, spiritually also you can evolve a big time. Like the way I was mentioning earlier, you can be a great scientist, at the same time a wonderful meditator. You can be an awesome painter or a musician, and you can be a yogi together at the same time. So we all need to achieve that. Then I think you can see the completeness, the holistic way of a life, what we call it, can happen.
When it comes to practice of these beliefs or research in the beliefs, like reading a lot of scriptures, what tends to benefit a person more?
Good. Reading definitely helps actually, but again, it's got its own limitation. Let's say I'm going to write a book about meditation, about my spiritual journey. But again, remember, it's my experience. So just because you read my experience, that doesn't become your experience. So, it's all about what is that you're going to do after that. Like you can, the books only gives you the inspiration, but the work you need to do. Like, I say, okay, read the books, know that, somebody achieved it, or it is possible for me to, then do your work. Meditate on it, do the meditation, do the work, and then see what's your journey. Like, many times, we always search for answers, but I believe that always you'll find the best answers within you, not outside, not in the books. That your own intuition is the best answer. Like I've heard, like when you happen to meet some of these great masters, like a Buddha, or like even Krishnamurti, or when Ramana Maharshi, Paramahamsa Yogananda, like some of these people, and ask questions to them. They never used to give an answer to your question. Instead of answering your question, they used to ask one more questions to you. Okay, how does it make you feel? What do you think it's all about? By asking more and more questions to you, they'll make you, get your own answer, because that's the reality. Like when you get your own answer, that helps you big time, not someone else's answer. In that way, I say reading is good, reading is wonderful, get the inspiration from reading, but at the same time, don't forget your own practice.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. In a sense, I think scriptures are a good foundation in terms of to get educated, and also to get the proper channel, kind of where to go and kind of what to expect, because it does give you a sense of direction, spiritually speaking. Like, this is what people had to go through, and this is what I might have to go through. These are the struggles and strives, and ultimately the victories of what these saints or monks or yogis had to go through to achieve the things that they ultimately achieved consciously. So I agree with that 100%. In my perception, I don't think it's an indispensable tool, but from my personal journey, it definitely acted as an indispensable tool. To read a lot of these scriptures and reread them, because you do get a tremendous amount of insights when you read them. They do have a specific energy signature that I think a lot of traditional books don't have. But with that said, there does come that time where you kind of need to outgrow and almost abandon the scriptures, because they are, after all, other people's experiences only. They're not your experience, they're not your journey. And I think, the penultimum of spirituality is really your individual journey. It's not something that you read in a book, or something that anybody could even tell you the outcome and how it's going to go, but it's something that you have to kind of oblige and follow through yourself and go through your trials and errors and ultimately victories. And scriptures being essentially stories, whether allegorical or otherwise, can never give you that. So they're just a good reference point. I'm a big fan of scriptures a lot myself. I spend years studying them and reading them, rereading them in many cases, and really even studying them in detail. But I can tell you from personal experience that there is a substantial qualitative dichotomy between reading scriptures and ultimately, going along your own individual path, whatever that ultimately ends up being. There is a qualitative dichotomy there that can't substitute one or the other. They play off each other, no doubt, but the individual spiritual journey itself is par none, and ultimately is what the spiritual path and journey is all about.